Execution Gap. I am not going to be carrying this topic on my own. I am joined by Nontuthuko Mlambo, a program manager, yes, from the project delivery team. Mm-hmm. I mean, in essence, the topic is around what happens between a great strategy and the absence of the results that we expect from that strategy once you get to execution. Why is it that when the rubber hits the road, what it is that we committed to in our strategy, improved opportunities for SME, a streamlined process to procurement, simplified vendor onboarding, and those other objectives that seem noble. But when you then look at what your programs have delivered, there isn't a direct line between that outcome and the input that you need to realize that to which you've committed in the strategy. So what is this gap? What is this execution gap?
So the execution gap is really the distance between the strategy and the execution of that particular program, right? And this comes back to people like you, the people that develop these strategies and have these amazing and wonderful ideas to close all the gaps that you've mentioned. And then now it falls on us to then implement those things. And then we are left without the direction, the know-how, right? We have the expertise to carry out programs. However, what then grounds us and really anchors us would be a document that says, this is how this needs to be done, and this is what we're going to measure at the end of the program. So essentially, that gap exists when there's void of now the direction and what we call a program design here at Zivoli, which is essentially an incredible document that allows for ESD practitioners such as ourselves to be able to implement a program aligned to the strategy, the objective of the program, and then what ultimately success and impact looks like. And then all the things that are in between there then form part of this document. The capabilities, the systems, you name it. It's all in there.
Yeah, it's an important distinction that you're drawing because, yes, whilst I thoroughly enjoy assisting and supporting our clients with strategy, I will admit that for me, the strategy is almost a snapshot of a time in the future. In 3 years, I want to be at this point. And it's almost written in that fashion, right? So if I look up 3 years from now and I said, my goal is to have supported 100 SMEs and afforded them 100 million rand of procurement opportunities. It's a snapshot, right? So for me, if the strategy is the what, it sounds to me like what you're saying is the program design is the how.
Correct.
But what tends to happen is we move from strategy to execution without the GPS coordinates that are articulated inside of this program design.
Correct.
Okay. So what is outside of the program design, or in the absence of a program design, what are the things that ESD managers are grappling with? What are they struggling with? What are they feeling? What are their frustrations because of this gap that goes from strategy to execution?
So from an ESD project manager in my shoes, my frustration really is the fact that I need to execute this brilliant strategy, this brilliant plan that was put into place without the GPS coordinates, right? And I'll execute it in a way that I see fit based on what I'm seeing on the ground with the SME, their challenges, what are the gaps that they have, what are their realities essentially? Because a program design contextualizes everything and then says, based on this contextual information, this is what you do from a measurement perspective, this is what you do from an implementation perspective. So void of that, the frustration is we're doing it on a clear blue sky where then there is potential for misalignment in terms of what the objectives are, what the outputs are, and so forth, right? But putting myself in my colleagues' shoes where they are the practitioners from the corporate side, right? Their frustration is that they have the budget that is not anchored or informed by a strategy as to how this needs to be done, right? And there's also misalignment between the opportunities that are available versus what the entrepreneurs on the ground are able to provide. So then that mismatch then becomes an issue where there's a spend, there's buy-in from the corporate to actually put together an ESD program and implement it. But now it's the end user, right? Or rather the person that contributes to the end product is the one that is now not matching the requirements that are needed to provide those opportunities to them. And more than anything, it's a matter of, as the implementer, if I'm not involved in the process of putting this strategy together, then I'm not able to give you, my insights on the realities that are on the ground, right? Where I'm able to say, based on what we are trying to achieve. So let's say, for example, the objective is to empower female entrepreneurs, right? In a particular area. I know what the realities of that area are.
Yes.
And I can inference based on other programs that I've run, and I can inform you how we can actually achieve this objective, right? But void of that, me being involved, then, and the other guys in the ecosystem, then we are disconnected. And that essentially creates a whole lot of things: misalignment, unmet expectations, unclear timelines. And you find things to be rather ridiculous now, because it's just like, I know how long it takes to do this particular phase of the program. But because you are detached and you have this expectation, then that's where the mismatch is.
It's so interesting that that's your experience, because, so of course, as you know, you guys, from a project delivery perspective, do more of the execution, whereas ourselves on the advisory do more of the strategy work. I would argue that my strategy must be closer in proximity to my business objectives.
True.
So it mustn't be heavily influenced by context, right? Because it's probably then not going to be ambitious and overly accommodating. However, it's the program design that should be contextual, that should practicalize the strategy, that should detail the how. But if it over-influenced the strategy, I worry that we would end up writing low-hanging fruit, super achievable, not ambitious strategies. So I guess it's the science of how we hand over the baton. What is the gap between what is achievable, that is committed to in the strategy, and the context that you're referring to? So it's a fine balance. I would hesitate to be over-influenced by the context. But you also shouldn't be completely disconnected from it.
True.
Okay, so in terms of the frustrations of the ESD managers, I always wonder, is there tension between, we look at our ESD typically on a 12-month horizon. So it does tend to be quite target driven. There's going to be a verification process at some point. So that's kind of my primary focus. However, I'm also altruistic in nature. So I'm not naive about the development needs of my SMEs. And I always say, it's interesting that the annual verification processes influence the timelines of the programs. But is it reasonable to say that everything that we need to teach our SMEs is defined by this 12-month time period? So is there tension around what ESD managers truly want to do from an impact perspective, and what they should be mindful of in terms of the targets and making sure that they don't compromise the points?
Yes. 100% there is, right? And for us, we've learned that there is huge room for us to influence there being an extension of the programs. So I'll give you an example, right? We have a technical program that we run for entrepreneurs. And in the technical program, it's really about assisting entrepreneurs in closing gaps that they currently have. So you'll find that the scope also includes your quality management system, for example. The scope includes health and safety, and those very, very important interventions. They need time for us to be able to roll out, right? So you'll find that now when we're trying to put everything within a space of 12 months, we're not giving the entrepreneur enough time to implement what they're learning, right? Enough time to influence change into their businesses, and then come back. For example, let's say they have a mentor to say, I've since implemented this and I've cascaded it down to our team, and this is the feedback that they're giving, which means that here there's room for us to change and there's room for us to improve, and so on and so forth. But if we're limiting it to a specific 12 months, then the entrepreneurs grab the information and it sits somewhere between their heads and their ears rather, and they don't have enough time for them to implement, right? So it helps for us to be able to extend the program. And essentially for me, it's if we structured in a way that the first few months of the program are about imparting knowledge, right? And then that's where we are doing the trainings, that's where we're doing the accreditations and so on. And then we then give it enough time for there to be implementation.
Yeah.
And in that time could be just a matter of implementation. It could be a matter of mentorship where an entrepreneur is checking in with their mentor to say, this is what we've implemented so far. This is what we've seen works. This is what doesn't work. We've socialized this. We've done this. We've done that. We've even gotten feedback from our clients. We've gotten feedback from our ecosystem, and this works and this doesn't work. Then they are able to implement changes while still guided by the mentor that they have available in the program.
Yeah, you know, I've always felt 12 months sounds like a long time, but I mean, we loaded full of interventions.
Yeah.
And of course, it makes sense because you're really trying to capacitate the entrepreneur optimally for the time that you have with them. But I've always questioned whether it does afford them enough time to change their habits. You know, as you say, you front loaded with theory, and then you do want to have to afford them the opportunity to practicalize it.
Yes, yes.
But I mean, how long does it take for people to like quit smoking permanently or quit drinking permanently? Because it's just a new habit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I question whether it's practical to expect that they'll be completely evolved in a 12-month period.
It is.
But I think what I'm hearing is that whilst the commitment is to secure annual ESD target points, there is flexibility around the program duration.
Yes.
And in our instances, our programs have gone over the 12 months.
Yes.
So from the ESD manager's perspective, there isn't really a fixation around the program should be 12 months. You must just secure my annual points.
Yes. Let me tell you, at Zivoli, we've introduced a post-program support, right? Which is incredible. And it's something that I believe every entrepreneur should have access to.
Yes.
So we have an alumni where we're able to say, you've been on a 12-month program. So is the universe of all the other entrepreneurs that have been on a program with Zivoli.
Yes.
There is an opportunity for you to learn from one another now because you're implementing, right?
Yes.
Now talk to Mpupi to say, I'm trying to knock on this door, I'm struggling. What am I doing wrong?
Yes.
And a post-program support allows us to be able to do that.
Yes.
It allows for entrepreneurs to have access to the toolkits that we give them, where they're able to come back and say, I've actually used this contract management template that you shared with me, and I'm finding that I need support here, here, and here. And we're able to tap into a network and say, here's someone that needs help. There's further support then. If we cap it at 12 months, we're saying, I've shared the information with you, you have access to a toolkit, figure it out on your own.
Do with it as you please.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, this is great. And then that's where you find an entrepreneur going back onto another development program.
Yes.
Because they find that there's still areas where they need support, whereas you just need someone to help you in the implementation phase.
Yeah.
And a post-program support is exactly that.
Exactly that.
It does.
I must say, I've been very impressed with the evolution of the kind of conversations that we have with our clients in that context, because you know, I remember, let's call it 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Targets were very much around, I want to impact X number of SMEs, right? And so I didn't want to hang on to one SME for longer than the 12 months, because then I can't count the same SME twice in this 5-year goal that I have to impact 1,000 SMEs or whatever the number is. But I've been impressed by our clients' appreciation of the fact that because we front load so much in the 12 months, you do need almost like an aftercare, in inverted commas, which is not really a program, but it's continuous support. Whether, like you're saying, it's like the networking sessions. But for me, the big thing is access to a mentor. Because I don't think I would have had enough time to successfully and optimally, at equal success, practicalize the 100 things that you taught me in the program. And the risk is I'm going to lose the bulk of them if somebody's not, quote unquote, holding my hand after the program for at least a 24-month period before you can actually say, look, even if you haven't adopted all 100, but I've seen you successfully utilize 60, then I can say, okay, you've probably quit smoking forever. And you're not going to go back to the habit.
And it gives entrepreneurs the confidence, right? And for us, that's very important. That's impact. That is what we measure in terms of success in our program, to say, how does the entrepreneur behave at such and such a time? So if we're able to then, after the theoretical information is shared. Now they are implementing. Let's see you develop the confidence and the change in your step as you strive through, the different areas that you're trying to change in your business by virtue of you learning different things from the program.
Yes.
So that's also something that for us is very crucial.
Yes.
And what you're saying about our clients, it makes them so phenomenal in the sense that they see our programs as more than just capacity building.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's transformation, and transformation takes time.
Yes.
Right? So for them, if they're able to see with us in collaboration beyond just 12 months and saying, guys, let's walk the journey with these guys. Because for them, it's about influence. It's about really cultivating entrepreneurs that are able to be sustainable. And then the question mark becomes, is 12 months really sustainable?
Like, is it enough? Okay, so this leads us nicely to my next question. So what capabilities then are missing inside of our ESD programs that's hindering our ability to replicate and repeat this model successfully?
So I'll tell you what we've really found to work best for our programs is one where we do a thorough diagnostic assessment of that business or the cohort, if you will, right? And through that diagnostic, we're able to identify the areas of development that then inform what the interventions of the program are going to be. And what we do is that we don't use a one-size-fits-all approach, right? As much as you'd like for us to have a different diagnostic assessment for every other business.
I don't understand why that's not a thing. I'm just like, shouldn't we map out the life stages on the one axis and then map out the industry on the other axis? And then for the early stage construction business, there's a different diagnostic to an early growth engineering business. Like, and I know it's not practical. I get that. But I do think there's something to be said about it's not just is the diagnostic comprehensive, but is the diagnostic assessment well suited?
Yes. So if anything, with the diagnostic tool that we have currently, I'll have you know, it's churned out really great information that we're able to use in the program design. So as you know, we have two distinct programs that we have, right? Which is your operational excellence program and your technical program. By us being able to customize the diagnostic assessment, we're then able to extract enough baseline data that will inform what the challenges are. Because you'll find that the early stage construction business that you're speaking about could be on a program with an entrepreneur that is starting out or one that's more advanced. You'll find that sometimes the challenges that they have are exactly the same, right? Where you'll find that, for example, from a compliance perspective, policy management system is something that they don't have, right? A health and safety file is something that they don't have. So
I was quite surprised by. I always thought the more mature businesses are more organized. Yeah, I know it's been a big learning for me. And more mature, I don't mean I've been running my business for 10 years. So for me, it's not the chronology of the number of years, but it's the growth. And as you're saying, you are finding that the 1 million rand guy equally doesn't have quality management system as the 10 million rand and the 20 million rand guy. That was quite a big learning for me.
And also you'll find that the guy that is starting out, because of his expertise, let's say they're an engineering company, from a processes perspective, it's all done. It's brilliant. It's perfect. They can then teach the guy that's been in business for 10 years to say, this is how you actually, my guy, let me share with you the document. And then you can alter it to suit your business. But, so for us, it's important that we don't segregate, but rather bring them all as a collective and help them learn from each other.
That's a big point. That's a big point. Because I would have, continued to advocate for early stage businesses must be in an early stage business program. An early growth business must be in a different program. And what you're saying is there's actually merit, particularly when you look at the technical lens. There's actually merit in bringing them into the same grouping because you can't assume that my business life stage, there's a direct relationship between my business life stage and my maturity when it comes to my technical mastery.
It's
a big point.
And we see this in training sessions. We see this where we're all in a room with the entrepreneurs And the one that you'd expect to know is having aha moments
from the others.
And you're just like, oh, this is so nice. Okay. So that's what makes it a learning for us as well, in that when we do the diagnostic assessment, it allows us to be able to really pack the program with interventions that are best suited for the entrepreneur, depending on their life cycle, depending on the gaps that they have. But also, most importantly, is for us to be able to link it to the objective of the program. If the program is about, really influencing and, if you will, pouring into the technical bits of each of the businesses, then that's what the anchor interventions are going to be for that particular program.
Okay, so what other capabilities are missing in our ESD programs?
So we've spoken about the diagnostic. The second one is now it's escaping me. The second one is,
you mentioned program design.
Yes, you're right.
Is that something that lives inside an ESD program capability?
So it's program design, right? So once we have diagnosed, we know now what the interventions are for the program, and then program design is the how you're going to be implementing this. Who's required? At what stage are they required? What are they influencing, right? And the nice thing about it is that we're able to take it back also to the end user, the procurement team, to say, this is the program, these are the interventions of the program, this is how we're going to roll it out. This is how you will be able to measure the growth and the progress that the entrepreneurs on this program are making, so that as we are doing this, they're able to then identify where the entrepreneurs can be linked in the value chain based on the opportunities that arise.
And their readiness for them to actually utilize them. Well, the extent to their readiness, which equals the extent to which you've de-risked my relationship with the supplier. And what are your views on implementation partners? Because I know that, we're Zivoli Growth Partners, we're amazing at this thing. And I really want the market to believe that we have an all-inclusive team that's masters at everything. But the reality is the success of our ability to execute our programs is probably reliant on the quality of the ecosystem partners with which we implement our programs.
Yes, you're so right. And they form part of the capabilities that we need and the stakeholders, right? So, for example, to the extent that our programs are not able to assist an entrepreneur, we're able to knock on doors and say, hey guys, we have a business that is so ready, but they just need funding.
Yes.
They have the financial documents, their compliance is on par because they've been through a program that has assisted them with getting a certification in quality management system and the likes, right? And then from there, we're able to say they need funding because here's an opportunity that they are ready for and they're just short of this funding element. And that helps a great deal. So implementation partners are quite strategic in that sense, where they're able to really drive the point home for us in that they get us over the line and even to the finish line.
And for me, they're operating our blind spots for the benefit of the SME, right? Because it's not practical for us to try and own the entire ecosystem.
True.
But there's merit and there's victory in leveraging people that are better at some of these elements than you are.
True.
But I find it doesn't always happen naturally for all ecosystem players. But I definitely think it's a great capability to solve for inside of a program. Because at the end of the day, you have to do what we should all be doing, what's in the best interest of the SME. And if we must play nice with each other, then we must play nice with each other.
As we should, because we have different expertise, right? So imagine if we have a program in the mining space and we're not playing nice with the guys in the mining space, then we're ultimately shooting ourselves in the foot.
Correct.
Right? So let us not only play nice, let's be intentional about it, right? I want to knock on your door and say, I have a group of entrepreneurs that are ready for opportunities. And you then unlock the door. Imagine the story that we're all telling jointly to say, we are from different sides of the woods, with different necks of the woods, rather. But here we are collectively, conjointly helping this particular group of entrepreneurs.
It reminds me of what I said in our one episode when we were talking about a theory of change, where I said, wouldn't it be nice if we had like communal theory of changes? Where we say there's 10 mining houses around this community, and between the 10 of us, we're chasing a centralized, aligned theory of change, because we understand the needs of the SME, so that we're not competing with each other, but we're optimally leveraging each other for what's in the best interest of the SMEs.
True.
Another one for me would be impact measurement for sure.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So with impact management, it really then ties into the program design for me, essentially, because here we are having put into place how we are going to do this, the inputs, what we're expecting as outputs. And with M&E, that's where we're able to track the impact of what we've done, right? So we're able to tell the story, of this is where we started with this program. This is what we identified as areas of development, jointly with ecosystem players, with the client, with stakeholders from different and various aspects. This is what we've been able to achieve with these guys.
Yeah.
And this is the success that we're taking with the guys.
Yes.
So that's where we're able to tie it in beautifully.
So now we've covered the capabilities that you need inside of the program. So what is the system that's holding all of this stuff together?
Yeah. So the system that you need, and allow me to brag a little.
Yeah, I mean, don't let me hold you back.
So the most important thing for us is to be able to have a pool of entrepreneurs that are ready for opportunities.
Yeah.
And I say ready for opportunities because you'll find that some of them are ready in the sense that they're procurement ready, but they're ready for opportunities in the sense that they want to fix and address where there are gaps, right? And for us, the perfect platform for that is Linkage.
Did you say Linkage?
Yes, we did.
Tell me more.
So our sister company, Linkage, really provides us a platform where we're able to access a pool of entrepreneurs that are procurement ready, but more than anything, they provide even the corporate opportunity to essentially engage with entrepreneurs at different touch points of where they are, right? So Linkage has a grading system that allows you to see where the entrepreneurs are in terms of their level of readiness. And it also then highlights where the gaps are in the areas of development. So for example, it could be a compliance gap, it could be a gap where one needs funding and, by virtue of them standing out in that sense, they are able to get assistance through the program and various stakeholders and the likes. But ultimately, it gives us a really nice pool of entrepreneurs that have put in the work, because for us, it's also important. What you put in to your business is what turns out an entrepreneur that we would bring forward to a client to say, this is the guy to put in the
that's
program.
really, I must say, one of the things that I love, I mean, there are many things I love about Linkage, but one of the things that really stands out for me is our frustration was always procurement readiness is very binary. It's like, it's a yes or no question. Are you or are you not procurement ready? And what tends to happen with SMEs is the answer tends to be no, right?
Yes.
But the frustration was, okay, so what do I need to do to be procurement ready? And that articulation was not always clear. And just to pick up on the point about the grading system, for me, what's been really powerful about Linkage is that it's the first time that an SME can say for themselves, this is the extent to which I am or am not ready.
Yes.
And this is what I can do about it. And it's been important because it helps to manage expectations. I mean, we know SMEs will knock on procurement doors long before they're ready for that opportunity. And procurement could only say, no, I can't use you because you're not ready. Suddenly they can actually mark their own homework and self-assess and solve for. And then recognize when they are procurement ready. So it's not just about the fact that we onboard SMEs and the client can track their development journey. But for me, it's that we've put the power back in the hands of the SME to almost control their own destiny towards procurement readiness. But in addition, then you secure a contract and then you need access to funding. I do love the access to funding module as well. Because SMEs do struggle with like, okay, so where should I go for this funding? And am I ready for it? It's the same thing about the procurement rate. How do I recognize when I have everything that a funder needs? So those are some of the key things for me that I think are powerful in that system. But of course, we leverage other systems as well in the execution of our program. So let's not oversell Linkage.
Okay. It's the truth. What you're saying is the truth, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I do love the platform. So you've now got the right capabilities in the program. You've got the right system to track and monitor and report on conversion.
Yes.
What is the role of leadership? Is there a role for leadership? And if so, what is the role of leadership? Or can we successfully execute programs without leadership sponsorship?
We can't, right? And it shouldn't be the case on two things. The first one is for us, it's always successful when the leaders of the program, in this case being the corporate, where they really speak, live supply diversity. Because it means that these entrepreneurs have a chance, right? Yeah. And for them, it's not just administration. They live for the impact. They live for the change in which they are contributing to, right? So that's very important. Yeah. And then the second element speaks to the longevity of the programs. If, for example, we're able to go to a client and say, the 12-month program that we essentially agreed upon is not going to churn out the impact that we're seeing that we can achieve with this program. And they say, okay, what do you need? We're then able to achieve great things.
Yes. Right? If we go to the client and say we need a post-program support.
Yes.
And say, go for it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's so leadership.
That's leadership, right? Where also they're contributing to the landscape from an economic perspective. Because through a program, we can, really educate entrepreneurs in terms of how to grow their business. And we'll speak about revenue growth, them creating jobs and so forth. But if the program sponsor, the leader, does not see these businesses, I don't say as an equal, but for them
as partners.
As partners, right?
As partners.
Yes, then they're able to open
not
more
as
doors.
Charity.
Exactly. They're able to open more doors for them. And on the charity front, unfortunately, now look at the camera and I say this, entrepreneurs are able to feel when something feels like a tick box.
It's not authentic.
When it's not authentic, when it feels like I'm doing this because I have to spend and I need to say I've done something. And Zavoli, you guys are great at what you do. Here's a program.
Make it go away.
Make it go away, right? And we come and we want to meet you on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, telling you about incredible things that are happening. And you're like, yeah, that's great. So that's very important where they see them as partners because they influence the growth of these businesses as contributors to the economy.
I found that I can definitely draw the line where we've got leadership support. We almost always have a higher access to market conversion rate because they get it. They get that the goal is really to create stable, successful businesses.
Correct.
That as you say, contribute to the stabilization of the economy. And the only way you're going to do that is if you have more SMEs not operating in the peripheries of the economy, but actively participating in the formal economy. I mean, I wanted to give an example, but I worry about time. But if I can summarize it, my favorite story was a client that had a multinational that was fulfilling contract with quite a number of microscopes in there, but they didn't want to break it up because they don't want to manage multiple service providers. But they took the bold decision to say, we've identified 4 women-owned SMEs from your program, that individually you couldn't outsource this to, but collectively they could probably stand a chance. And what they did was they structured the agreement with the multinational to say, look, it's a 100 million a year contract. However, we do want to wean ourselves off you, but we know that we can't give these guys a 100 million rand contract overnight because we're probably going to break them. And so what they did was they said, we're going to incrementally increase the value of their contract for the period that you, the multinational, are with us. But the KPIs for you in your commercial contract is going to be the extent to which you capacitate these guys to essentially take over the maintenance components of their contract, because it was an OEM, so they'll always use their equipment. But they were like, you don't have to maintain it, you don't have to service it. And they successfully did that. I mean, when we last checked in with the SMEs, it was the 3rd year of the contract. But it was moving along well. But that's the difference between leadership that pays attention and leadership that doesn't, because those kind of decisions are not made at ESD execution level.
Correct. Look, time-wise, I get it, but I cannot end the conversation without telling you about, I want to say, it's not a testimonial. To me, it felt like it landed like one, but we recently had a graduation ceremony for one of our programs. And the entrepreneur stole a moment with me, and she shared that she actually secured a contract with the sponsor of the program. And that was so beautiful in the sense that she was like, when I look at the caliber of the other bidders,
yes,
and then myself,
yes,
I'm like, I can see how this program has enabled me to get to the part where I'm able to
I'm on equal footing,
right?
Yes.
To compete with these guys.
Yes.
And it's about the leadership, right? The clients that we have are so intentional about opening doors for entrepreneurs, right? Getting them to be competitive. Because what we also try and do is that we are intentional about reducing over-reliance on one particular client.
Yes.
So when the program sponsors make time to meet with the entrepreneur and tell them and really just drill into them the fact that there are so many opportunities that are available, and really point them to the right direction, right? And we're just like, okay, we're out of time now, thank you very much, type of thing in those type of sessions. But because of the proximity that they also have, it then drives the point home around how their leadership ultimately contributes to the success of a program. Because then also interdepartmental issues then fall away, because they are intentional about the fact that you guys need to open doors for these entrepreneurs. Sometimes it doesn't result in a contract, but it results in them learning about a particular element of the business that they otherwise wouldn't have known. So also just having them have information, because at times entrepreneurs knock on doors so much and they don't realize that probably one of the few things is compliance and access from a corporate side to say, guys, this is what you need ultimately to be able to work with us. That leadership also makes a huge difference on the programs that we run.
I'm worried that you and I could talk all day. I feel like we should have a part 2.
Okay.
Perhaps we can arrange because as you know, I've got so many questions, but I'm just like, no, we're actually out of time. But do you have any closing remarks around this topic? Like, what is the one, not even piece of advice, like words of encouragement that you would give to ESD managers that are grappling with this distance between a great ESD strategy and successful execution?
One of the things that I want to share with them today is that they're not alone. We go through it I don't want to say all the time, but it's not a nuanced issue for them. And it's not something that they are falling short of. It's the architecture that is around us that we need to influence. And we influence that by speaking about the things that we need, speaking about the fact that we need a program design and influencing that, speaking about the fact that for us as implementers, we need to be involved in the preliminary conversations that happen prior to a program strategy being formed, so that you're able to take into account the realities that we know about the programs and what entrepreneurs on the ground are experiencing. That is also a factor. And then also it allows us to be able to engage with the procurement teams within the corporates to say, guys, we are in the business of developing entrepreneurs that are ultimately your clients as the end user. So what is it that you need? How can we bridge the gap that creates this frustration for you to say, the company has invested in an ESD program and this is what it's training out, but it's not giving me what I need.
Yes, from a supply chain.
Exactly. And the points and the budgets and all of those things. And it really is frustrating for them. So if we then have that roundtable discussion to say, success for this program looks like this, but it also embeds procurement readiness, procurement opportunities for the entrepreneurs, then that's something that we definitely need. But ultimately, in closing this gap, we all need to work together as the stakeholders of the various programs, the corporate clients with the intent, with the strategic intent, the objectives, us as the practitioners that say, guys, we'll help you do this the best way. We will school you on the strategy. We will support you with the right program design, with the theory of change, with the methodologies. We will influence the systems that are agile enough to help grow these businesses. And together, from an impact perspective, our M&E reports are telling of what we're doing on the ground.
Yes. That is the longest closing in history.
You said.
I said the floor is yours. I meant the tile on the floor is yours. But thank you very much for joining us today. This was a delightful conversation. I do agree with a component of what you said.
Okay.
I do want to challenge ESD managers to do this. I would like us to view our end user for our programs as supply chain. If our programs are not solving for the de-risking of the supply chain relationship, then do we need to look at our programs differently? That will mitigate churning SMEs that cannot be absorbed, for lack of a better term, by your supply chain colleagues.
Agreed.
Thanks again for your time.
We
will continue on our quest for supply diversity to be business as usual. Until next time, have a good day further.
Thank you.